Jose Felix Diaz. Pero there's like 3 Pepis.
There's a lot of Pepis.
There's a lot of Pepis. And how's that been? Like, I feel like even you corrected me, like, oh, it's with an I.
Yeah, so obviously Jose is a super common name. Jose Diaz is like John Doe in Cuba.
Yeah.
And growing up in Miami, my nickname was always Pepe because my dad was Pepe and my grandfather was Pepito. My understanding is that Pepe comes from, the Italian name of Jose, which is Giuseppe. They call him Pepe for short. There's also another reason that's a little more complicated, which I won't get into about Latin, but that's my understanding of where Pepe comes from. So as long as I've been alive, my name was Pepe. My abuela called me Pepe, Pepitín, Pepecito. Oh. I've had it all. Yeah. But growing up in Miami politics, having that name was super complicated because the mayor of Sweetwater was Jose Diaz. The county commissioner was Jose Pepe Diaz. And when I first ran, in order to avoid that kind of confusion, after having spoken to several of them, I decided to run as Jose Felix Diaz, which is my
name recognition.
Name. It's my name. It's my brand.
But do you like Pepe? Like when people call it, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I feel like that nickname just like stuck to you.
Well, I'm a 6'4" Pepe, so when I talk to people like on Zoom that have never met me before, they think Pepe is like a diminutive name, so they're expecting this little kid to walk in the room, and then comes in this big Russian 6'4" Cuban guy, un oso, and they nobody ever is not surprised. But I love it, bro. It's my name, it's my brand, it's what I've been known as my whole life. I can't imagine being called something else. Jose is so common that to say Pepe is a little more uncommon. And I don't know if it's distinguished. It might be a little bit of clownery, but I love it. People know me as that. And when you leave Miami, where people haven't heard of Pepe, it's definitely more memorable. I mean, the only exposure that most people have to Pepe is to Pepe Le Pew, the former cartoon, who I think has been canceled, by the way. Yeah. But among other things. But yeah, I guess it's something that's stuck. And I have no problem being called Pepe. So call me whatever you want. You know, people always call me Pepe.
But
everybody calls me Pepe.
When I first met you, I had a bad experience one time with an elected official where I called him by his first name. And I was swiftly corrected, where, no, that's Representative blank to you. So ever since that experience, I've always tried to be formal, even if we have that relationship, porque yo te tengo que dar respeto que tú mereces. You know, so
there's a lot of comimientas in this process. I've never been too formal. I like informality, and I tend to be very respectful of people's titles, and I will acknowledge other people's titles. Yeah. But when people, and we're it's been a long time since I was in office. So once upon a time I was a state representative, and people would call me representative. It was always a little awkward. It wasn't something I was totally used to.
Yeah. So I really want to have, first of all, thank you for your time.
Cafecito. Thank you. We had ordered some cafecito, and it arrived, and I'm very excited about it. It's that time of the afternoon where you need a little boost.
Yes. Politics is, I consider like a sport, right? And in this sport, you have good
players. It's a sport for unathletic people.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good one. It's something that, it's kind of hard to get into, right? Like, you're either born with it, you're born into it, or you create a pathway forward. So, I think where I want to start is, where did you get into politics? Did you always know that you wanted to be a legislator? Was that something that like fell into your lap? Was that like, were you tapped to do this, or, you know what I mean? Like, what is the origin story of Pepe?
First of all, this coffee is spectacular.
Et Palmar goes crazy.
Is it here next door?
So downstairs there's a cafeteria at Palmar, which feeds like every business nearby. There's like no other businesses around.
Oh my God. Yeah, I needed some of this. I just had like a non-coffee lunch because I wanted to make it on time for this. And so it's the spot.
Yeah.
So I don't come from a political family. My mom was a teacher. My dad was an engineer. I don't think we knew or talked about politics at all. Like, we never had like kitchen conversations about like the president. None of that. I was actually a super shy kid growing up. I think that people that meet me now can't imagine me being an introvert
at all.
But I was an introvert. I was a very studious kid. I was by every definition a super nerd. You know, big glasses, read a lot. I love
unathletic.
I was actually semi-athletic. I did 5 sports in high school.
Very athletic.
And I played all of them equally bad.
Okay.
You know, but I could kind of hang in just about every sport. I'm just never going to be a star, but I love sports. Yeah. But I was not very involved other than sports. I played baseball since I was 4. I did taekwondo, basketball, volleyball, everything you can imagine. And that was what I liked. I like sports. To this day, like if you follow me on Instagram, you see me at every sports game, every basketball game. I'm a season ticket holder for the Dolphins. So I love sports and was not involved. I was kind of quiet. When I was in high school, I discovered student government and it changed my life.
What do you mean it changed? Like you thought one way and then you had a different thought or a different process?
I think what it made me do was get like a external validation that I never really had. Like I was always good at school. I didn't have to try too hard. So grades didn't motivate me.
So you like that challenge?
I like the challenge of coming up with an idea and seeing it become something. So my junior year of high school, ran for student council. My senior year of high school, I was student council president. And like I remember the moderator of student council coming back and after the fact, like many years later, says like, I still have the binder of all the ideas you have. Are you a hoarder? I'm not a hoarder. He's a hoarder because he was keeping the documents, not me. But I'm definitely a collector.
Okay.
I collect
of sentimental values that you want to reflect upon.
For sure. I mean, I have every picture of growing up. I definitely have I'm a huge baseball guy.
Yeah.
So I have, autographs of Hall of Famers and people that I met as a kid and people that I've met as an adult. I love sports. So anyhow, I wasn't involved, got involved, and all of a sudden it's like from never having been involved to coming up with an idea that's actually passing, the student council that's getting approved by the administration. I was hooked. So I go to college at the University of Miami. I'm a Hurricane. Go you. And there I was, I hit the ground running. I was involved in a fraternity. I was involved in like just everything you could imagine. Like if you pictured an organization on campus, I was involved. I was a student council senator as a freshman. I was speaker of the Senate as a junior.
And that obviously helped you learn how to deal with different people. Because in those settings, especially in college, you talk to every type of person.
Yeah. I mean, and that's always been me. Like you put me in front of somebody from, any rung of life, and I find a way to connect. Like I love human beings. I love connecting with people. And I am certainly not one of these people that only hangs with this clique. Like I was the kid in high school that would have different groups of friends, and I always had lunch with different people. I never had the same lunch group.
So at what point do you leave those friends behind? Like I know that as you've grown in your life, people kind of phase out or you outgrow them. What was like, I imagine that happened to you. How do you handle that? Do you get sad about it?
Yeah, of course. Like there's certain people in my life that will be friends with me to the day I die. I tell people if we met in kindergarten, we're going to be friends forever. Yeah. And I'm the type of person that never skips a beat. So like you and I cannot talk for 5 years and like we go on and have lunch and it's like we never skipped a beat. Right. Like I don't believe in the awkwardness of time having hurt the relationship. But there are a couple people in my life that were very close to me that I don't even talk to anymore. And it's for me like a very foreign and strange experience. It actually like bothers me because like...
Porque tú quieres quedar bien.
No quiero que quede bien, es que quiero estar en contacto with my friends, right? Like I want to stay in contact with the people that I cared about. We have similar, if we're friends, there's probably a chance that we have similar experiences or similar likes and loves. So, in those rare instances where I've lost touch with somebody, I definitely have a yearning for that friendship, but life's too short to like mourn the loss of a friendship. I constantly make new friendships and I add to the team. I add to my Rolodex of friends. And, I think I've mentioned this on another podcast, which is, if I was like a dog, I'd be like a puppy with one of those tails that goes like that when they see people.
Oh, instantly always gets excited.
Yeah, I get excited, bro. I get excited. I want to hang out. I want to talk. I want to, shoot the shit. I want to have a memorable connection, right? So, I think you've seen it, interacting with me that like anytime you need anything, I'm always going to be there for you.
Listen, out of all the people in politics, you have truly been one of the kindest people to me in particular, because you owed me absolutely nothing. And you were just like, yo, you want to sit on this deal? Yo, do you want me to mentor you? Oh, do you want to come here? Do you want to come this? And I'm like, bro, if everybody thought this way, we would never beef. Everybody would always be fair. Everybody would always be, just.
Well, you got to help young people, right? So like, no matter what stage you are in your life, like I have been helped out tremendously by mentors of mine, people that gave of their time and talents to further my career. And so I've definitely always had interns and young people that I've supported and have supported me. And it's been a mutually beneficial relationship because it keeps me young, right? Like I love interacting with people that have big dreams and are working hard and are constantly looking to.
Like being surrounded by passion.
By passion and by people that want to make this community better.
Yeah.
Like I believe in Miami in a way that very few people do. Like I think we're like on the precipice of like the next great big American city. And the only way we get there is if we work as a community in furtherance of greatness. And so, I can do everything I want. I could be involved in charities. I could be giving back. But if other people aren't doing the same and they're not aligned, then we're going nowhere in a hurry. Yeah. So, I support you and the type of passion you display. I love what you've done, building your brand. And so,
not without some bruises.
Not without bruises, man. But bruises are part of life, you know. Like, dude, if you don't have bruises, you're doing something wrong. You got to knock your head against the wall a few times.
Many times.
Yeah, many times.
You brought up mentors. What could you speak on a mentor and something that he or she taught you that to this day you still put into practice?
Yeah, I could name you tons of mentors. In high school, I had one teacher that believed in me. The first teacher that I remember just like took my confidence to the next level. It was my anatomy teacher. Her name was Mrs. Martha Adams. She's still around. She's no longer at my alma mater, but she's beloved. Just yesterday, I was having lunch with somebody and we were talking about her. She did not treat you like if you were in high school. The assignments were collegiate level. The level of discourse was collegiate or postgraduate level. Like she interacted with young kids in a way that helped them get to the next level of adulthood. And she believed in me. Like she lit a fire under me that, has continued to burn for 30 years at that time.
Did you believe in yourself though?
I think
compared to what you are now, if you reflect back on that time in high school, did that confidence, which I know you talked to me earlier, wasn't always there, but did you believe in yourself? Like, I can do this? Like, am I meant for it? And in that belief, do you think that it's one of those things like, does it come intrinsically or is it like external where that confidence comes from?
That's a great question. So I think at that time, I definitely had less self-confidence than I have now. I learned to be self-confident and I learned to be happy. Yeah. I don't know if I've told you, but I've told a lot of people that like I am constantly chasing and striving for happiness because I think it's a daily pursuit. Like it's not something that happens like, you could be born with great chemistry and thankfully, life goes in a certain way and you're always happy. But dude, happiness is a struggle, right? Like life is tough especially for everybody. And, the way society works with the internet, the way it works in social media, and people always constantly trying to live up and, be like the Joneses next door. Like it's hard to be happy.
You compare yourself to something that isn't real.
Which is not real, man. There's a lot of BS on the internet. People are showing you the best version of themselves, but they're not showing you the ugly. So there's a lot of opportunity for unhappiness. I think that I was less confident. I think I became more confident because of people like Mrs. Adams and friends of mine, like my high school friends and my coaches and people that kind of came encaminado. Yeah. Came encaminado. And since then, I have like drawn been drawn or drawn both. People that I think are also positive, that are strivers, that are achievers, that are do-gooders. Those are the people that I surround myself with because no matter where you are in any community, there's people that want to do things for the betterment of society. And there's a way to find those people and surround yourself with them. And they're typically happy people, and you surround yourself with happy people, and you're happier.
You know, I it's funny because I was talking to some of my coworkers about that fulfillment is lacking in America. Like, you know, we go to school, we get sold this dream of, oh, you go to school, you get a job, and it's like, then what? Right? So I feel like especially Gen Z and my age group, we would much rather take a pay cut, but be happy and fulfilled than get like the big job or what have you. So do you think that's a problem in America? Where
I think it all matters. I think jobs matter. I'm an overachiever for sure. So I think getting the best job you can and continuing to grow and aspire for more is important. But I find happiness in experiences. You know, a lot of people spend money and they hoard money and they want to retire and die with more money than their neighbor, right? Like my dad always told me that, and my dad's got a great company. He's done really well always. He said, like, you know, when I pass in my will, you're not going to get that much because I lived life. Oh, because I spent money on experiences. Yeah. And so I live for travel and good food and happy times and fun activities and sports and live concerts, because tomorrow you can get struck by lightning. Yeah. You know, you get hit by lightning and everything goes to crap, right? You know, you could have a horrible disease. You could have somebody in your family pass. You could lose function. You could lose mobility. Your whole life could change. Your life changes tomorrow. So, like, you know, just last week or 2 weeks ago, I went to Wyoming and I did like a 12-hour snowmobile ride through Yellowstone, right?
It was like jet skis, but on snow.
It's like jet skis, but snow. And like, the whole park is closed off to you. You're seeing like bison and elk and American bald eagles, and you're seeing like the coolest stuff on earth. And I mean, man, I felt alive. You know, I felt a rush and an exuberance that you don't typically feel. Not in Palmetto traffic. Not in Palmetto traffic. But even when you're in Palmetto traffic, man, I'm in traffic every day like everybody else. I'm calling my buddies. I'm calling my boys. I'm calling my friends. I'm calling my cousins. I'm calling my parents. Like, just catching up and reminiscing. Just because you're in traffic doesn't mean your life ends.
You know, from hearing you talk, it seems like you're obviously a very social person. You're somebody who likes company, likes being with friends. And I'm going to get a little vulnerable with you. I feel like as I've gotten older, I've realized that I have a problem with being alone. With, like, for example, now I'm living alone. I've always lived with a roommate or a partner or whatever. So do you share that? Or what I'm asking you is, have you ever had trouble with being alone to yourself? You know what I'm saying? Because as I hear you talk, you're like, I talk to my friends, I do this, I do that, but are you comfortable being alone?
I'm totally.
I feel like I'm uncomfortable being alone sometimes.
I'm totally comfortable being alone. When I was in law school, I studied in New York. I remember multiple times going to dinner by myself and having the best time.
I'm sorry, that's tough.
Like bringing a book, bringing a journal, writing stuff down. I've also, like, as I've gotten older, I've discovered meditation. So, I mean, there's been times in my life where I've gone years meditating twice a day, morning and night, and just like coming into my own.
And like breathing exercises as you do it?
Breathing exercise, more transcendental meditation. It's an ancient practice that came from India, and it's mantra related. So, like, you learn a mantra, you practice the mantra, and it's about getting like thoughts out of your brain. Like, your brain, like any other organ in your body, needs rest. And the lives that we live now, like, your brain's constantly firing. Like, sometimes, I'm sure it happens to you because it happens to me. Like, you can't sleep because so many thoughts are competing. You're restless. So it's a great way to clear out your brain. And I have found that to be super pacifying, super chilling, and I have found comfort in being by myself. So I'm with you. I mean, if given a preference, I would rather be around people, especially people that I love. But brother, I am so happy being alone sometimes. And, you know, I'm blessed to have 3 kids, 3 little kids. I have a 14-year-old son, a 12-year-old son, and a 6-year-old daughter. And having those kids has really focused my life, but it's also helped me appreciate those moments of silence because you typically don't get them once you have these rugrats in your house.
My father would tell me, Nadie, tú no sabes lo que es ser padre hasta que tú tengas hijos.
It's true.
And when you first had your first child, do you feel like there's not like an instruction manual to be a father, right? So it's pretty much on the job training.
I'll never forget, so my first kid is a boy, and they put him in a car seat and give him to you in the car, and you head home, and you're like, oh my God, I have no idea
what's gonna happen here,
what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, I barely know how to wrap him up and clean his diapers. Like, what if he has hiccups? What if I don't know how to burp him? Like, it's freaky. No. But the good news is humans have done it for long enough, and people much dumber than us, and less civilized and with no access to the internet have figured it out. So it kind of falls into place. Yeah. But they're the greatest gift. Having kids is not for everybody. There's people that live super complete and happy lives with no kids. But for me, it's been like the happiest process of my life. And no matter what, at the end of the day, no matter what deal I close, what office I win, what office I lose, like the fact that I have these things that I love so unconditionally and that love me so unconditionally makes me the luckiest guy on earth. Yeah. Fatherhood's awesome, man. It's awesome.
I want to shift gears to talk a little bit about your day job, because to be honest, but it's crazy because it's kind of like a 24/7, 365. It's not really like a 9 to 5.
It's a lifestyle.
It really is a lifestyle. And to be honest, I love how you live your life. Like, I'm like, man, like I want to be able to work hard, but I also play hard. And you enjoy the things that you do, and you surround yourself with your friends and your family as you do them. So I guess what I want to ask you in terms of lobbying, or better, let's start here. You are a lawyer. You went to law school. You were an elected official, a legislator, and now a lobbyist. So you've worn 3 pretty important hats. Out of all those 3...
I guess the 3 L's: lawyer, legislator, lobbyist.
But we just catch W's. That's it.
Man, I guess some L's too. But being a lawyer helped me become a better legislator, and being a legislator helped me become a lobbyist. So I feel kind of like my whole life has built on top of itself.
So it's like a ladder, like a stepping stone, like every...
Yeah. And I'm still a lawyer. I practice with a law firm too. I'm a partner at a law firm called Panzamar. I'm a partner at a lobbying firm called Ballard Partners. And those roles complement each other. And I could tell you that, I am the luckiest guy on earth. Like, I'm so blessed to have the job that I have. Like, if I was a little kid and you told that little kid what he'd be doing as an adult and the experiences that he would have and the access he would have and the fun, like, I have a fun, fulfilling life. I'm just super lucky.
Yeah. So out of those 3 hats, which one do you like the most, and which one did you or do you like the least? If you had to put it on a spectrum of, fun, happy to, okay, this is a drag, this sucks, like, what's the spectrum of...
Look, every job, every role, every phase comes with its plus and minuses. I'm not going to tell you which is the worst because I can't think of which is the worst. They've all had their highs and their lows. I was very, very fulfilled as a legislator. Like, I loved being in office. I loved passing bills. I loved getting appropriations for my community. And I loved constituent services. Like, I would put my constituent services against anybody's. I would respond to every email myself. If somebody needed help, I'd figure a way to get them their answer. And the connections I made knocking on people's doors and becoming part of their family. To this day, I still get calls routinely from my constituents. That was very fulfilling. The beautiful part about being a lobbyist is that I get to continue down that path. Not only do I stay in contact with the people that were constituents, now I have clients that I'm representing that can help them even further. So I am every day helping grant wishes and help people and coordinate services in a different way. Plus, I'm very involved in the community. At any given time, I'm sitting on between like 8 and 12 nonprofit boards.
No, and you, well, and we connected at the Live Like Bella gala, and I know that you do a number of philanthropies.
I am a semi-professional auctioneer.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, you were the vibe. I'm not gonna lie, like
Yeah, dude, I love it.
You were the vibe at the gala.
People, I have been doing now auctions and galas for like 10 years, aside from the nonprofit boards that I sit on. And I love having fun up there, man. Yeah. And I don't prepare. Like, I have no idea.
I know. You just get there
when I
yourself.
Get to True North or Live Like Bella or the Wow Center or all these amazing. Like, I have no idea what I'm going to say. All I know is that I'm going to have fun and try to like play the crowd off each other to get maximum.
I'm not going to lie.
100%.
You pit them against each other.
I get the left side of the room versus the right side of the room, and it's fun. So I love that. There are galas now that literally like revolve their like gala around the days that I'm free.
Yeah.
So just a couple weeks back, I was traveling, like I told you, and I missed one of the galas that I've done forever. And the whole time I felt such a guilty feeling. Yeah. But I had a pre-existing not a contract, but a pre-existing trip that I couldn't get out of. And it hurts not to go. So I am a FOMO, YOLO type of guy, and it all kind of manifests itself in these nonprofits.
What's a misconception that people have about lobbyists? And first of all, can you give us like the 5th grade textbook definition of what a lobbyist is? Because I've found like my peers, half of them don't even know what I do, and I'm telling them like, I help you win elections. What does that mean? You know what I mean? So
yeah. So I am a very expensive plumber. When things get stuck, I help unclog them. But really, at the end of the day, a lobbyist has many hats. A lobbyist is an advocate, a zealous advocate for their clients' needs. It's a promoter in chief. You're constantly cheerleading and shepherding this person through the process. You're a Sherpa for sure. And then you are either working on passing legislation, getting money, or stopping legislation. Those are the 3 primary functions. I also do a lot of like B2B where I'm connecting clients to clients and getting things resolved on the private sector side. Our firm today is probably, in terms of clients, as big as it gets in the state of Florida. We represent everybody from Amazon to Major League Baseball, NFL, tech, real estate, fill in the blank. And we help these very important clients understand government in a way that they wouldn't have understood it. Navigate it and break it down. Like, here's the update on the election. Here's what's going on. This is why this impacts you.
This what means for you if this guy wins or this guy wins. So you should probably support this guy because has more affinity towards your cause.
You're a government interpreter. Mm-hmm. There's people when you go to court that will translate for you in Spanish. We translate government in a very easy way for people to understand. And unfortunately, whether you like it or not, government impacts your life every day. Yeah. Every company in this country has to have a government plan because they can kill you, they can hurt you, they can make you, they can break you. And being a lobbyist is all those things. And my practice is multi-jurisdictional. Like, I do a lot in the county.
All over. Like, it could be somewhere else.
Washington, I'm doing Tallahassee. I've lobbied in Chile. I've lobbied in LA. I've lobbied in Chicago. Like, I have managed teams all over the world. And I can tell you that no matter where you go, whether you're in Houston or Buenos Aires, or whether you're in Montreal, every place you go, you need to have somebody that has relationships, that understands the government, and that can help you get out of a mess when inevitably a mess comes your way.
Yeah. When you did, I believe it was Influence or Times, you did a magazine. You did Times or Influence?
Dude, I've been in a couple magazines. So.
Well, you said results-obsessed professional problem solver.
I like that.
Yeah.
I don't remember saying that, but that's good. Whoever wrote that was on top of it because results are all that you are judged by. Yeah. Like, there are people that call themselves lobbyists that take people's money every month that don't get results, and those relationships are short-lived. Like, my goal is to be your first lobbyist and to be your last lobbyist. I hate coming in sometimes and fixing somebody else's mess. Yeah, somebody else has touched it and maybe not looked at it the right way, and now you come in with a negative perception because the elected officials or the decision makers have lost trust in your client.
What separates a good lobbyist and a great lobbyist?
There's 3 types of lobbyists.
Okay.
The first type, somebody who has exceptional relationships, but very little knowledge.
Well, does that make them bad?
No, it just makes them one of the three types. Like
So
they're very good lobbyists.
I don't know nothing.
There's a lot of good lobbyists that know a lot of people and they have one great relationship and they don't know anything about what they're about to preach about, but the relationship's strong enough to survive the ignorance. The second type of lobbyist is the opposite. They're very smart, very niche. They know the subject area better than anybody, but they don't know anybody.
So que importa.
Well, it's a problem, but there's we in the lobbyist community need both. You need the guy who knows everybody and the guy that knows everything. And it's hard to get somebody that knows both, which is the third type. So the most successful lobbyist is a person that knows people and knows things. You're a subject matter expert and you have great relationships, and that combination is A+.
Now, you've been doing this for a while. You've done it in different sides of the same coin. So does government work for the common person, or do you need to be in the know for it to work for you?
I think both. And I think sometimes it's a matter of luck. There are jurisdictions that have exceptionally qualified and caring individuals representing them, and those people are lucky. And then there are jurisdictions that have elected officials that need to be nudged, and that nudging helps make a difference and helps take that district to the next level. And there's also places that have elected officials that don't care, are apathetic, and are not good at what they do. And those places have a very rough go at getting back proportionally what they put into the system.
And as you see it, you can answer this in the micro and the macro, however. How do you see our political system? You got to answer that, United States.
No. Listen. I got to serve in a golden time in our country where there was a lot more unity. I think that social media has really disrupted society. I think people are angry at each other more than they were before. I think people express negative opinions in a way that they didn't express them before. And when you are in social media and you're kind of anonymous, it allows you to be disruptive and aggressive in a way that you wouldn't be if you had to connect one-on-one. So, if I'm an elected official and you don't like what I say or do, you might not vote for me the next election. But now in this world of anonymous Twitter accounts, you're just blowing that person up and, crapping all over them. And nobody's perfect. Okay. People forget that, there are no perfect people, but you can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. You need to rely on imperfect people that are making imperfect decisions to the best of their abilities to better your community. And social media. There's a lot of trust in that, Rick. There's a lot of trust. And I believe that a lot of people who run for office are good people.
I think so too.
But I also think that absolute power corrupts absolutely. And unfortunately, in a world where there were no term limits before, there were people that were in office so long
that they forgot why they even got there.
That they forgot why they started. But on top of that is, they might have a very firm opinion on one thing. And if you're on the wrong side of that person and they're in office for 30 years, that's 30 years where the needle's never going to move. And I've seen that as well. So, I have always been a proponent of term limits. I would do term limit reform and maybe give people a little more time in office. To me, 8 years sounds like enough, but having lived it, I could tell you 12 years might be better. But again, you can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And I prefer having 8-year term limits than having infinite terms where young people couldn't run, or people who didn't come from. That's what's happening
now in the city of Miami.
Yeah.
So that's a whole debate. We're not going to get
into yeah, no, listen, I do a lot of work in the city. There's a lot of good people that have run there. It's not a perfect city, but no city's perfect. Having, again, traveled the world and been in every city, people, no matter where you're at, tell you man, my city is the most corrupt. My city is the most inefficient. My city is this. Is no, man. Your city is a city run by human beings, and human beings are imperfect, and therefore things will never be perfect. And that's why you have to strive to influence things positively. because you're only on this earth a very limited amount of time. And the only way the world gets better is everybody does their part to make it better.
Yeah.
You can't rely on the next guy to do it.
I think politics in general, our political problems aren't going to be solved with politics. They're going to be solved by culture. So I think after, me going all over, knocking on doors of all these different people, I've noticed that the biggest thing and why people don't care is because they don't know. I tell people, I was like, look, if your dad was the mayor, you would be out there, you would be at polling sites, you would obviously act in that interest because of primacy. So if everybody knew the commissioner, or if everybody knew, if there was that proximity, then our system would be more participation.
Yeah.
What I wanted to get at is, with that experience, what would you advise the next generation of legislators, people who, maybe are scared to put their hat in the ring? Because, a lot of the times people are like, oh, maybe not this time, or I don't want to lose my lifestyle, which I think is that's like a valid reason to not run. But what advice would you give people who are on the fence of running for office, or they want to run, but they just are scared about it?
Well, I think it's important for people to volunteer for other campaigns, to volunteer for politicians, get to know them. Because I learned how to knock on doors. I learned how to get the vote. I learned how to ask for a sign by helping other campaigns. And that helped me feel comfortable. Like, if that person can do it, I can do it as well. Internships are important. Working for elected officials, getting involved in their community. That's how you can see whether it's something that really intrigues you. And my advice is, once you get there, be pro-constituent. The people that voted for you because they thought you could help them. When they ask for a meeting, give them a meeting. When they send you an email, respond. When they need help, give it. Because communicate is 80% of the battle.
Yeah, because it's frustrating when you're unreachable. And it's it kind of furthers that division of, you're just a suit, this shadowy enigma, this figure that I don't know what you do, how you do it.
Well, people would say all the time, toca en mi casa.
Cuando quieres el voto.
But, which in English is, you only knock when you need a vote. And that is not the right way to govern. Now, to change the paradigm is now you have a job. You're now a legislator, and you're in Tallahassee a lot. So it's also on the constituent. If they really need something, come knock on my door. And that's what I would tell people. Look, I knocked on your door, so one day you can knock on mine. But they need to come and knock.
Yeah, you have to.
It's a two-way street. I mean, even if I knocked on every door of the district every day, when you're in elected office, whether you're a House member, a senator, or a commissioner, or a state senator, or a U.S. senator, there's tens of thousands of people you represent. You could spend your days knocking every day and never get to that person. So I knocked on your door, so one day you can knock on mine.
Would you say you're a salesman?
I have to sell every day.
Yeah.
I was a buyer for many years. When you're a legislator, people are coming to you, and that was for somebody that does what I do now, that was super important, because I got to see different styles, and I got to see what was effective and what wasn't. But now I sell every day.
So I want to ask you, the art of the ask. How do you ask for what you want?
Well, you got to establish connection. So for me, I can't imagine just going to somebody and going, hey, I need this.
That's opportunistic. That's salesman's breath. That's desperate.
I want to establish a connection, a human connection. I want to find things in common that we both love, whether it's sports, or whether it's politics, or whether it's watching Succession, or whether it's watching, Dancing with the Stars. Whatever you like, if we have that shared connection, I want to establish it, because one, I like people, and two, people don't buy things. They buy from people, right? That connection is what matters. So establishing connection is super important. And then being smart, knowing what the other side is and what their arguments are, because that person you're selling to, or that person you're advocating in front of, is going to have the other person come. So you need to anticipate those arguments and see, man, am I in the right? Or is there another side to this that needs to be discovered too? So I constantly not only give my side, I also give the other side. I said, listen, I think that this should pass because X, Y, and Z. But the other side is going to tell you A, B, and C. And I don't think that A, B, and C is right. because of D, E, and F.
And I guess that goes back to your point of what makes a good lobbyist, that in order to have that expertise, you need to know the opposition. Because then how are you going to know if your position is solid or not?
Well, you need to live life, man. I mean, there's a lot of people that run way too young, that don't have a lot of life experiences. Some of them turn out to be very successful, but a lot of them get kind of like shut out in the dark because they don't have life experiences to bring to the table. So I ran at a fairly young age, but I had some gray hairs already. I do think that if given an opportunity, somebody should wait a little longer in life before they try to serve, so that they have fallen in their face a few times, because that's where real lessons are learned, is when you fall, when you fail, when you don't achieve what you expected to achieve. That is life, giving you the greatest gift.
Throughout your career, would you say you have become more risk tolerant or risk adverse?
Well, the best way to become risk adverse is to go to law school. It teaches you to be careful. So I am a naturally I'm a natural risk taker.
Yeah.
I'm a creative, right? Like I was like very artistic growing up. So I like thinking out of the box. If it were not but for law school, I probably would be dead. Right, like I was jumping out of airplanes, doing bungee jumping, wanting to dive with great white sharks. Like I'm a thrill seeker.
Yeah.
So law school kind of tempered me a little bit in a way that I think made me better. But I'm still taking a lot of risks every day. I think, having seen my clients succeed, the people that succeed the most in this world are risk takers, and so I strive to be a risk taker. I strive to go for like big, audacious goals. And even if you miss, you end up in a pretty good place.
Well, really, I always like to ask my guests at the end, especially people that work in politics, what's more important, power or money? But I want to frame it with you a little differently, because I want to change it from money to perception. Because I think in lobbying, there is, like you said, what separates a good and a great lobbyist is the results, but the impression of results, I think, could be the trap. So in lobbying, and I guess just in general in politics, what do you think is more important? Legitimate power or the perception? This is supposed to be like I want you to ponder on this.
No, yeah. Listen, man, I'm not a power person, right? And I'm not a money person. I'm not driven by either. So I'm gonna get your question and kick it back a little. I think the only thing that matters is being able to sleep at night. And in a world that's driven by power and by money, there's a lot of decisions that happen every day that can make your sleeping at night a little more difficult.
Yeah.
And so, I choose to be happy. I choose to be content, and I choose to be ethically content with my life decisions. And so if you're driven too much by power or you're driven too much by money, at some point, the other shoe will drop and you're going to make decisions that are going to change your life and your lifestyle and your ability to feel like you lived a good life.
Yeah.
So I would suggest, don't be driven by either. Be driven by good. Be driven by happiness. Be driven by making people's lives better. There are a lot of people, just by consequence of where we were born, in the country we were born in, the year we were born in, the city we were born in, that we are amongst the luckiest people to have ever lived in the history of humanity.
Yeah.
And so, take that and turn that gift into a gift for others, so that some other generation could feel like they're living in the best time of all time. And unfortunately, money and power have driven society to a place where, the next generation might not be better than the generation we currently have. And that scares me, right? Like I get scared by the prospects of the future, and what does social media take human kind in the next 100 years? How does artificial intelligence affect us for the next 100 years? How does, our discourse with other countries and the international strife that we're seeing today, the wars in the Middle East, the wars in Russia, like how does that resolve itself? And obviously there's been really tumultuous times in the history of mankind. I think right now there's probably less wars than there ever has been, but we should strive for the best possible life for everybody, whether you were born in Ghana, Cuba, the United States, or Belarus.
So in conclusion, seek fulfillment.
No, I think fulfillment could be a trap. I think in fulfillment, I think in conclusion, seek good.
Seek good. And hopefully good will fulfill you.
And hopefully good fulfills you, but even if it doesn't, if you're doing good for others, it's fulfilling them.
Happy.
Thank you, man.
Nice seeing you, brother.